Hello, everybody, and welcome to this shorter 47.5 edition of the BS podcast. This is going to be another co-host convo. Of course, as I said, I'm Wes, and obviously we have co-host Infu here. Say hello.
Hello there.
And to start this podcast off, I just want to announce that going forward, after this, because this will be going up today on Tuesday as we record this, but going forward, new episodes will be releasing on Fridays around the same time. The time won't really change, but going forward, because 2020, to just go into this whole thing, 2020, I'm going to be streaming primarily. And so what we've been doing and what I've been doing for the first year of the podcast has been, okay, I'm going to contact this person and be like, okay, would you be interested in coming onto the podcast? And if so, what time works for you? And I'd heavily work with their time, even if it was 4 a.m., 4 p.m., 7 a.m., whatever random time across the day, regardless of what time zone they were in. I worked with it. Infus worked with it. It's been this whole thing. But when I start streaming in January, I can no longer do that without heavily hurting my streaming thing. And I really enjoy the podcast, and the podcast is absolutely not going away. But I have to prioritize the streaming as it's what I want to do for a living. I want to make it work. I'm going to put a lot of time into it. And so going forward, we're going to be recording on Thursdays at a set time, and maybe that time changes an hour or two, but we're going to be recording on Thursdays going forward and uploading on Friday. I'm excited because my big thing and why I didn't want to set day or time beforehand was I knew there'd be one big consequence is you're going to nuke your potential guests, at least in the short term. And that's why the next 2 weeks, I think the plan is still to record them on Thursday, but not quite at the time we were aiming for, just because these are already people I was talking to before we decided on the change. And I just think it's good to fulfill these two guests before closing the door on random days and times and being more concise on a recording time, because I think we picked a reasonable time to do it. I don't think the only people it's inconvenient for is for people that live in like random countries with big random time zones. That's really the only people it may hurt. And for them, if we really want them on, and I definitely know a few that I'd want on, we could see if there's any possibility that we can be more flexible. But going forward, just going to have that set day, generally set time, and I think it's going to help the podcast feel, if nothing else, a bit more professional.
Yeah, because we've always been so professional in the past, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know what they say, when you go to the BS podcast, you expect the absolute most professional thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, definitely so. Only the finest quality and the most professionalism can come from the hosts with the most on the BS podcast.
Absolutely. So, I feel like a big question and a big thing that's going in my head is once I get moved, we won't have internet on day one. For everyone listening, be moved. We're supposed to get the keys if we stick to the schedule, and currently we're on schedule. It is, you might as well say Monday's concluded, but heading into Tuesday, we're still on schedule to get the keys at the latest by this weekend. That's been what we've been told for the last 2 weeks. And they've stuck to the schedule because we're first in line, so they're trying to get it done. Everything's gone well as long as inspections hold good, as long as they did their job correctly. The inspections should go through and be fine. And then I think the only other thing left is really to clean and maybe whatever final touches they have to do after that. But we're at the end game, and we'll get internet shortly after. I don't know how long that's actually going to take. Once we have the keys, that's when we're going to schedule it. We don't want to schedule it now, not knowing if they'd show up before we get the keys. So we're just kind of waiting on that, and we could have it as early as next week. Who knows? I don't know how long that takes, but maybe it'll be first week of December, because you have to think about Thanksgiving. Probably nothing's really going to happen the days close to Thanksgiving. But hopefully we have internet. I'm hoping we have internet by the 50th episode, and that's why this is 47.5. Because I want to buy... this was, if nothing else, if this isn't a more podcast talk episode, this is just buying time, because 48 will release on Friday, 49 will release the following Friday, and hopefully that extra time allows us to have the actual internet done, ready, and to not have the 4G still come the 50th episode. Because for me, ideally, I want to do a live episode for number 50. I don't know what guest we may have, if we'll have a guest. I assume we'll have a guest. But if nothing else, I want a live episode for number 50. I want to stream it. I want to get my first taste of actually streaming, and I want it on the podcast for number 50. That's what I want. How do you feel about this, Info?
Well, as you might recall, I made suggestions before on the podcast, a live stream episode. So I think that doing it live is going to be way more interesting, because it's just a myriad of things that can happen, and you never know anything and everything can go wrong when you're live stream. And
Absolutely.
with a podcast, people tune in because they want to listen. We'll be able to actually interact with the people that listen to this podcast. And that's honestly something that I'm looking forward to the most, is whoever shows up, interacting with them. And I personally want to take some time during that podcast to maybe set it aside, if you're okay with that. Like while we're doing it, maybe either in the middle or the end or something, take a break depending on how long it goes. Or, just sometime during that podcast, I want to take some time aside, and I just want to interact with the people that listen, just to kind of see, how they're liking the podcast, their opinion on it, what made them decide to, keep tuning in, just a mixture of things. I just, I really want to, I guess, maybe see what we could, not necessarily do better, because obviously we're already the highest quality we can get here at the BS Podcast, but
super professional.
100%. But I just want to know what makes people tick to want to come and listen to us ramble on here. I want to know, like, if it's our opinions they value, if they just think we're funny, or, I just want to know what makes them tick, what makes their brain think, man, I can't wait to listen to the next episode.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I am all for having ideally, I'd like to do a pre-show where we just, people come in, you let people come in, give them a few, like 5, 10, 15 minutes to come in as we just talk to them, have a sort of pre-show type deal, do the podcast, maybe midway through have a break that we can just talk to them again. And then afterwards, maybe when we conclude the podcast, we have a bit of a post show. I could see that happening.
And you know what? That'd be really cool. I'm all for it. I'm 100%. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. I am happy to hear that. Now, this next question is directed straight at you, because, and I don't know how you're going to feel about this question. I'm sure it's the realistic thing. This is probably going to be a debate on your end. But
okay.
once I get moved, once I have internet, for the YouTube thing, because right now, uploading to YouTube, it's mostly useless right now. Like, it's an easy way for, like, okay, we primarily bring on creators, so they're already on YouTube, so they can check it out. But I don't really pay attention to the YouTube analytics, because YouTube, frankly, it's YouTube. I care more about the actual podcast places. But once I get moved, once I get internet, once I know it works, I want to make the podcast not only audio, I want to add the video component to it. And I know this is also going to be the question for you is video-wise, where do you stand on that?
Okay, so I have no problem with doing a video podcast, but it's actually probably going to be impossible for me to pull off something like that because I don't have a webcam. I don't have the funds for a webcam. And the best I could do is use my front-facing camera on my phone if you want something like that and just hook up my headphones. And so that's really, this response is really going to depend on what you want quality-wise, because I could try it with my phone. At minimum, I could try it with my phone, because there's no way I can get a webcam. To get a decent quality one that's not going to shit the bed within the first 5 minutes, I don't have that kind of cash.
Okay, let's discuss that then, because I don't remember the webcam I had being super duper expensive, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the number in my head is completely different from the actual number. But what is the number you would be looking at? If you were willing, right now, if you were like, okay, I want a webcam, but this is the only amount I would be willing to pay for it, what would that number be?
As it currently stands, I actually don't have any funds at all to set aside because of what I'm getting for Christmas. And if I wasn't getting that for Christmas, I would maybe be able to go forward with like $60 to $70 for one, maybe. And that's just because that is what is currently in my pocket. If I pull out the money that I have, if I pull out the cash I have in my pocket right now, it is a cool $68. It might be $78. I'm not sure. And so what I'm planning on getting for Christmas, because I've really been wanting one, because as you know, I've been really on this whole losing weight diet thing. I plan on getting a Galaxy smartwatch, and they're about $350. And they have a lot of different functions to them, in addition to having a built-in Fitbit. And I can sync it up to the apps on my phone and a mixture of other things that will really help me keep track of this stuff a lot better to help me, go further with it. So that's the only reason why I say I don't necessarily think I could do it. It also depends on how far off into the future we do this video episode. Okay. Because I might be able to recover some of those funds a couple months down the road after Christmas.
Yes.
Possibly. We'll have to see. I'm not made of money.
Okay, now, here is what I'm thinking. And I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my mindset here is wrong. My logic sometimes is not very sound. I'll admit that, regardless of what the topic is. Sometimes my logic just isn't sound. But in my head, I'll use an example of a podcast I've listened to for 10 years that you've heard me brought up. I've brought it up on the podcast multiple times, Painkiller already. And there's an oddly similar thing that's happened. Obviously, that podcast started with multiple hosts, and it started as a video podcast on YouTube. He didn't have a webcam for the first, year plus. And while some could say that wasn't quite the same as everyone else having a webcam, I don't think it's that bad. And it led to a big reveal when that happened. And it was for a different reason. This person, it was more they had an alias on YouTube that they had two accounts and both of them were similar, but most people didn't know that they were the same person, and so he didn't reveal that for a while. But I would be okay with however long it takes, if you would be personally okay with putting aside money over however long it would take for you to personally be okay with that. Putting aside a little bit of cash here, 5 months a month or whatever. Whatever's reasonable in your head. If you'd be willing to do that. And then down the road when you get a webcam, there you go. You could have the reveal.
Huh.
My whole debate was if you'd be willing to even take that step, would you be willing to both? Because it's a thing with creators, and this is going to be a thing with the guests too, is not every guest is going to want to show their face. This is something not everyone's going to want to do. And while some people that I'll be bringing on have already showed their face, and so when it comes time to do a video podcast, they'll be more okay with that. Not everyone will be. And so it'd just be their icon and their slot on the video. And if you would be willing to get the webcam if we went video, I could see a similar situation for you where it's just your icon for however long until, there you go, bam.
I mean, yeah, I don't really have a problem showing my face through or as a thing. Plenty of people do it, and it's really not that big of a deal to me because it's just my face, and you know, plenty of people see it anyway. But honestly, when it comes to the podcast or whatever, I've gotten more versed with it than I'm sure me or you ever expected it to happen. From when you brought me on that first episode, and as such, yeah, I mean, if I can get the money, if I can actually get the money set aside for this, then I wouldn't have a problem doing it. It's just a matter of, can I get the funds set aside for it? That is the only real thing that would be stopping me, is just not having the money, for one.
Absolutely. And my thing would be, it wouldn't be a rush. I'm not going to every week be like, hey, Info, you save up more money? Have you bought your webcam yet? It'd just be a thing where, okay, it'll take time. Everyone will forget about it and just do our thing. You know, I think, because I'm going to get a whiteboard for both streaming on Twitch and the podcast, which will also be streamed on Twitch, I'd assume. And I think that's a good prop. I think that's a good prop to have for the podcast, although that is going to be its primary purpose. I could see the whiteboard coming in handy for a lot of things.
Yeah, that's also another thing. I don't really have I don't really per se have I don't really have anything that I can stick behind me per se to kind of, prevent, as a background, really. It's just my house.
Where do you record from again?
My room.
Oh.
And see,
my bed's going to be behind me.
Well, see, here's the thing. So my bed isn't what's behind me. See, here's another thing. I personally don't care about the webcam. That again, it's just my face. But what is going to more so concern me isn't necessarily my concern. It's going to be my parents, because it just so happens that the way my room is set up, more so my recording, where I do the recording at, it literally faces down my whole house. So if you stand in front of my computer and you was to face the opposite way that I'm currently sitting right now, which is obviously the way a webcam will be doing to show me, right?
Yep.
It is my whole house. My room is at the very end of the house, and our house is a very long house, and you can literally see our front door from my room if you stand facing the opposite way. Like if I turn to my chair right now, I can see our front door, the kitchen, and everyone's rooms going all the way down the hallway because of it.
And there'd be no way to block that?
I mean, I could shut the door, but at the same time, because people come and go all the time throughout my house, that's also partially why I keep my mic muted all the time, is because people come and go constantly, and they're always opening and closing my door. And so I don't have any privacy or respect, so for these reasons, yeah, I don't
Well,
really have I can't really say that I could indefinitely block it off, or even for that matter, keep family members from not being even on the podcast at all, like walking in my room and stuff,
this has
because
also been a thing on the podcast I've listened to for 10 years. Different host, but a different host wouldn't close his door. He later got kicked out of the podcast, but that's not the end of the story here. So his family members and whoever was visiting at the time would just walk in, because you're only recording a podcast. Why does anyone have to be considerate about that? But that made for some hilarious moments. And the thing is, well, I don't think that going in the same direction would be the key. Especially consider how inconsiderate your family may or may not actually be.
oh, dude, they don't.
Say?
Dude, they don't actually give a flying fuck. Like there was times where I could be in my room, like being in the middle of recording back when I was doing YouTube, and like my mom would just fucking fling my door open and just start going on a rant about something. I'd be like, I'm recording, and she's like, oh, hi YouTube, and just keep going. And so
was it at least entertaining?
Sometimes it's not.
I
my
feel
mom.
like.
Oh, go ahead.
Cause I've heard some of your background before while we are just casually talking off the podcast, and the one time it sounded like torture. That's what it sounded like on my end. It sounded like just torture, and I think that's fucking hilarious.
It's not so my mom and sister that I'm worried about. It's my dad more so, because he is.
I don't do well with those.
He is a hardcore, and when I say he might be the most Republican-leaning man I've ever encountered in real life. Like, this man, if possible, would shake Donald Trump's hand every fucking day he could. And it's
Does he wake up and start chanting, "Build a wall, build a wall"?
No, but he agrees with the wall 100%. And amongst other things, and as such, our household 24/7 has Fox News playing in the background. The only time it does not is at night when he goes to bed. I go in there and cut it fucking off. Any other time, our TV only has Fox News playing in the living room. That is the only fucking thing that ever plays in our living room is Fox News. And I've gotten into several political arguments with my dad because I hate both sides. I hate them both. Republic, Democrat, I don't really care which one you side with. I hate you both. It's all right, though. And so, because of this, me and him have gotten into several arguments over several things, political-wise. And it's tiring, I guess. I'm tired of hearing every single day, literally anything that happens. And when I mean anything, I literally mean anything and everything that happens. My dad you can hear him say, it's the Democrats' fault. It doesn't even matter what it is, but it's the Democrats that done it.
It's one temperature hotter than it was supposed to be today? Stupid Democrats.
Actually, no, for real. Like, not to that extremity, but like, for instance, we was at Walmart the other day, and they had raised the price of our milk by like a couple cents or something like that. And
Stupid
it was
Democrats.
like, yeah, actually, no, that's exactly what happened. Like, we was in there buying the milk, and he's like, is the milk going up again? And I was like, it's only a few. He's like, I bet the fucking Democrats are behind this. And I was like, it's just a couple cents. Don't matter. It's the Democrats. Like, whatever, man. I guess Democrats hate milk now.
Joe Biden. What a boomer.
Uncle Joe, huh?
You know, did you see what he said?
No, I didn't actually.
He said he's not gonna push to legalize marijuana because he feels marijuana is a gateway drug. I'm sorry. That's just not the opinion that's gonna be popular in 2019. It's just not.
You know, I've actually had this discussion before with people, and I feel like pot or weed, whichever you want to say. I feel like honestly, it can be a gateway drug depending on the person. Because it's like it itself isn't necessarily a gateway drug, but I have known plenty of people who have smoked it and got high, and they liked the high feeling so much that they wanted to do other things, and
But
therefore making pot the gateway drug.
yeah, but that's my thing. Like, I feel like you could take that and be like, oh, I smoked a cigarette for the first time, and oh, I think I like smoking. I'm gonna try smoking some other stuff. Maybe alcohol is your gateway into doing other drugs. Like, oh, this gave me an interesting experience. What other experience can I have by doing this, or this? I feel like there's an argument that all of those could be gateway drugs if you really wanted to label them as such. I think any drug can be a gateway drug.
Yeah, definitely so. Unless you like go straight to like black tar heroin or something like that, that's already at the very top. Because you done smashed the fucking gate down, come flying in, American flag flying and all invading the bitch.
Yeah. So I that's just not the thing to say in 2019. You know, I feel like. Especially, like, if you're running a Democrat, I feel like the Democratic stance is legalized pot. I think that's just kind of the end of the story. And not being for that, you know, it just don't seem like the winning move. I mean, people want Trump to legalize it.
You know, honestly, I feel like Trump would.
I'm surprised he didn't.
Honestly speaking, I feel like the only reason that he hasn't is because of the other Republicans.
You know who needs to smoke pot the most in this country?
I could think of a few, but who?
Donald Trump. Imagine if it just calmed him down. What if the marijuana could be what gets him to settle down? Marijuana could make him a better president. He'd still do all the illegal stuff, but he'd be more quiet.
That would be interesting.
I
Have the first ever Snoop Dogg in the White House?
mean, it's gonna be 2020 soon. Shouldn't we just elect Snoop Dogg? Is he old enough?
I think so.
Ah, perfect.
I think technically you only have to be 45.
I think it's 35.
Is it 30? I think. Okay, well, there you go. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I at one point knew all these things, but
Back in your day.
not even that. It's just like I never cared enough to remember it.
My game plan right now is, in a perfect world, if everything works out perfectly, and maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, the 50th episode will be streamed live. With video. At least on my end.
Honestly, I can't wait for episode 50.
Because 50 is going to be a celebratory episode. One, because it hits the 50th episode. Two, ideally, by 50, maybe 49, we have the internet. Who's to say? But I think it's safer bets on 50, us having it. Because I don't think they'll have, even if we do talk to them this week, that they'll have it done by Thursday. But who knows? That it could be done by next Thursday. I think the safer bet's the week after. I don't even know what is the week. What is that day? Is that on Thanksgiving? Are we gonna hit a holiday with that? I don't think so.
Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks.
What day is Thanksgiving?
Thursday, I think.
Fuck.
I believe
Then that would
is,
be.
in fact, I'll check my calendar real quick, but I believe it is a Thursday.
I don't have holidays on my calendar. I removed them. But that we may not have an episode that week. So 49 may actually
It
be
is, in fact, on a Thursday. Yep, it's Thursday.
Well, I would be a hypocrite if we did an episode on a holiday. So we won't do an episode that one, which
I mean, we can maybe record like Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. I mean, honest, like I
fuck
said,
Belob.
I can move
Cause
the
that's who
day.
it affects. It affects
Oh,
Belob.
oh, fuck you, Billip.
Yeah, fuck
But
you, Belob.
honestly speaking, I could probably, because I know that you want to have the 9 o'clock thing set, and that's doable. I can move the days around a little bit. I'm usually pretty flexible Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Honestly, even Mondays, just not Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Those are the 3 days that I don't actually have a way to work around them normally.
Yeah. For me, I'd really love for it to be a set day and time, and maybe it moves an hour one way or the other, maybe a couple hours, maybe. And it's something else I'm okay with that I don't think we really talk about in these negotiations. If, okay, maybe you and I start the podcast, and then like an hour and the guest shows up, or maybe the guest and one of us starts, and then one of us jumps in later. I'm also okay with that combination happening as well.
Just as long as it gets done.
Yeah, as long as we achieve what we aim to achieve. And this is something else that we talked about earlier on text, is I can't wait for your first episode without me. That'll be very enjoyable for me. Even if it's a total train wreck, I think it'll be hilarious.
I mean, train wrecks are usually the best way to go about doing things. Honestly, because if you think about it, if something's a train wreck, then that just means nothing went according to plan. But that's exactly how you always want it to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think we'll want to record on the Thursday.
No,
So.
I would prefer not recording on.
Yeah, I
Thanksgiving.
don't. I think it's a good principle to not record on a holiday or even upload on a holiday. I will be streaming on holidays. Me personally, outside of the podcast, because I'm inconsiderate to myself, if nothing else. But I get why other people value holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. So, yeah, we okay. So, not realizing that one of the recording days is a holiday, I didn't think about that. I'm glad we discussed that because I was not aware. Considering we're a week out from it, you think I'd be aware of this thing, but apparently not.
The only reason I even knew it all, or even was thinking about it, is because for the last week now, I've just had it hammered into me because I have to be the one to cook that day.
Huh.
Which is also
I definitely want to hear about your Thanksgiving when we do the episode after Thanksgiving. I want to hear how that went for you.
Oh, of course.
I want to hear about what you cooked. I want to hear about what happened. If any interesting stories happened, I think that'll be an interesting discussion.
Oh yeah, you'll have some stories. See, last year I cooked Thanksgiving, and the dessert that I made, the assholes in my household fucking ate it before I even got to try any.
And you're the one that made it.
Yeah, I went to get some. It was gone. I
bet you were just like, you motherfuckers.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. It was a cinnamon apple crisp,
Ooh.
and a homemade banana pudding.
Ooh, both of these sound very good.
Oh, they both are very delicious, and I'm not biased at all. So, fucking, I went to get some, and they were just gone. And I looked, and just the whole room of some fat asses just sitting there stuffing their face, and they're just like, "Oh, dude, this is the best fucking dessert I've ever had." And I'm just sitting there like, "You motherfuckers."
That's hilarious, but it's so awful. You make something and get none of it.
I was pissed, and because of how I made the dessert first, so
that's your mistake.
I had to because of the nature of it. I needed the oven for the turkey and stuff, and I couldn't afford to put other stuff into it. Because with the apple crisp, you peel the apples, you cut them up, and you put you put the cinnamon over top of them, and you put some bread over them, and so on and so forth. They're not that hard to make. So then you bake it.
Uh-huh.
And then after you bake it, you let it sit out until it cools. And so that's what I did. That's what I had to do. I had to bake it before I baked the turkey because the turkey takes all day to cook. And had I baked the turkey first, I wouldn't have been able to have gotten the crisp done in time. So I made it first, and then while the turkey was cooking, I made the banana pudding and started on the other things that we had that day. And I ended up doing green beans, stuffing. We had glazed cinnamon apples, which are cooked apples. And then I made some garlic mashed potatoes, and I fried some cured honey ham. And let's see what else. I had some that was like a mixture of sweet. It was like sweet carrots and it was pretty much like sweet carrots and potato, or it was like sweet carrots and sweet potatoes kind of like mixed together that I cooked. I stir fried them so they were not crunchy, but they were kind of soft. And then we had the turkey, obviously, amongst dessert. So it usually takes all day for me to actually get all this stuff cooked and ready.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a ride.
I'm a monster in the kitchen.
I have the minimal cooking experience. That'll be something I work on, but my thing with that is there's people that want to be like, okay, whether it be my mom or whatever, it's like, okay, I can teach you, but at the same time, I'd rather just learn on my own. I'd rather look up a video on how to do it, read about it, and do it on my own. I'm just too introverted to want to go through that experience, and that's why I don't know how to cook currently.
You are better off learning how to cook from someone who already knows and can help you than trying to go by a video. Because let me tell you something. When you start cooking, you don't have time to pause and go back if something goes wrong. Because whenever you're cooking, your hands are constantly, you have to constantly be stirring this stuff and check on the temperature and amongst other things. So you're really better off having her teach you if she's willing. Or for that matter, if you won't, hell, you could even fucking call me one night on Discord or something like that. One day whenever you're wanting to cook. And I could help you that way by telling you what to do as you need help. And I actually taught my buddy how to cook meatballs the other day. He called me on Discord. You know Mikey? Him. Yeah. He called me on Discord and he's like, I want to make some meatballs. And I was like, have you ever cooked anything before? And he's like, I ain't got a fucking clue. That's what I'm calling. And I said, shit, turn on that video and let's get it going.
Oh, yeah.
So I, over Discord, taught my friend how to cook meatballs. And he said they turned out really good. And he now knows how to cook them. But trying to watch a video, it don't work. You need real-time experience to start off with. Maybe after you get the basics down pat and you're not going to fuck up or you're not going to panic if something goes wrong. And trust me, it happens. Things start going ape shit and you're like, oh God, and you just kind of freeze. It's just a natural response in your body. So what you do is you want someone there that can at least show you when, either through video, talking to someone, or your parent. You're definitely going to want someone to at least teach you.
Probably happen by video.
Well, in that case, then I would be more than willing to help you.
I'm just too introverted to have someone there and to stress me out. Because my thing is, I don't want to see someone that's observing what I'm doing. I feel too judged, and that I don't like that environment. That's not for me. Which makes it odd that I'd be like, okay, let's do the streaming thing, where it's constantly someone watching you, and apparently I cut out. That's lovely. Thank you, Discord. You're the absolute best. But, I'm okay with someone watching by video. That's why, like, I'm okay with streaming, doing a let's play, and someone judging that. That I'm okay with. That ain't gonna hurt my anything. I'm not gonna feel any stress about that. I'm just gonna do my thing and be good. But you know, when someone's there actively backseating it, not for me.
Yeah. Understandable. So, in terms of you streaming and stuff like that, whenever you do, like, I guess, co-op games and stuff, or, like, multiplayer games, are you planning on actually doing any of those at all? Or is it all going to be single-player stuff?
I would be very careful with that. Because I feel like what I want in a streamer, a lot of people just do multiplayer games, and that's primarily what they do. Whether that be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, whether it be Battlefield, Call of Duty, PUBG, Fortnite, whatever. You know, you'll have people that'll just switch up multiplayer games, but that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I want to primarily do. I definitely want to do some, but in the same vein of, okay, for the podcast, most episodes will be a new guest, and then a little bit less of that will be returning guests, and a little bit less of that will be the co-host combos. I want it to be a similar structure to that. Most things, single player games that I'm going to enjoy a lot, and then on occasion, I do a multiplayer thing with somebody. And if it's a co-op story game, that's different for me. I could see myself doing that. Like, just throwing games out there like Portal 2, something like that. I could absolutely see doing that.
The reason I'm asking is because do you want your co-host, which is me, to, like, I guess, co-stream with you when you do those things?
So, the thing with that is I'm not opposed to that, but you're a co-host to the podcast.
Correct.
And and there is a difference, like, I will be streaming under Westocracy, and I'll be streaming under the Westocracy, which to me, in my ideal scenario, the Westocracy isn't just me. The Westocracy also includes the BS podcast. The Westocracy also involves who knows what other future project. But I'd like for the Westocracy to grow in that way, and to be in just a thing, you know. But when it comes to that, will I expect you to do anything like that? No. Am I okay with, I'm doing this co-op game. Hey, Info, would you like to play this with me and we can both stream it? I'd be down for that. I'm okay with that.
Okay, see, that's more so what I was wondering, because
maybe I want to get into Destiny, and I'm like, okay, who do I know that plays Destiny? Oh, bling bling, hello. Can you show me how this game works? Thanks.
Yeah, no, that I can definitely do.
Fun fact, the PS4, so kind of different. I own both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and I want to play both of them. But I know my experience on Destiny 1, for example, would probably be not what it would have been years ago. But I still want to try it.
I actually own Destiny 1 for both.
What about Destiny 2?
Destiny 2 is actually free to play for everybody. Anyone can download and play it.
Is it cross-play or?
It's cross-save. I can, in fact, bring my save over and play with you, yes.
Cool. Then that'll definitely be something I'm very interested in. I'd love for someone to just kinda... Cause I'm bad at games. I'm just bad at games. It's kind of hilarious. Like, LA Noire, for example. I did a review a couple years ago on LA Noire. And there was a moment, and I made it a separate montage video, and I put music over it, and then it got hit with whatever, and I took it down. But, because you drive in LA Noire sometimes. You don't have to, but you can. And so I just drive into a tree, back up into another tree, and I just keep hitting the two trees, trying to get out of it. And for me, was I trying to actually get out of there? Yes, I was. But my gaming IQ is very low. So I just kept backing up and into the tree. The two trees. And it was hilarious to watch.
You didn't think to turn the tires?
I'll have you know. Obviously not.
So, like, but that's how cars work in real life. You turn the
I don't
tires.
drive in real life.
I mean, uh, uh, no, but you've been in a car before. I'm sure you've seen the car tires turn.
I'm just a little bit stupid. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It happens. It's all right.
Yeah, it happens. But yeah, I would be down with that. Especially like with Destiny. I don't know what other multiplayer. I think I own another multiplayer game on the PS4, which I don't know which one it is. I'd have to look.
See, my problem is my PS4s are mainly used for like single player stuff. But like, if there's a co-op game that we both have, like on PC or PlayStation or whatever, and you do want to go through it, I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to.
I see the other one. I also own Tom Clancy's The Division.
Oh God, that game. I'm gonna be honest with you. I like the Division 1 more than I do the second one, but they both trash. And it's not even like that's just my personal opinion. The game itself is actually not bad. I just fucking hate it.
That's fair.
See, unless a game is inherently bad, like beyond me bad, I'll usually make it pretty known that it's not the game's fault for being bad. It's just I didn't like it, and so,
yep.
I'm not going to bash a game that's potentially not bad, unless it is actually bad. So like, I can dislike a game all I want, but that don't make the game itself bad. It's not the game's fault that I don't like it. It's just not for me.
Yeah, that's where I generally stand when I critique a game. I always start out with, I'm sure it's not a bad game, it's just not a game for me, and then I'll go into my complaints about the game.
Now, there are sometimes, there are sometimes where I can just tell, though, the game's some trash. Like, it's not a me thing. The game just fucking bad. Sometimes you can just kind of tell there's this one game, I forgot the name of it. It's supposed to be like a Dark Souls kind of clone. It's bad. That game is bad. Like, it's just empty. The world, there's just nothing to do in that world. Like, there's no AIs, or there's no NPCs per se. There is AIs that you fight, but there's no NPCs to talk to. And there's no fast travel. And there's nothing. Like, you just kind of, ever so often, there'll be a storm will hit, and your character will get cold and freeze to death if you're caught out in it. But the premises is to go back and gather these supplies, and then go back and kind of build a campfire. And as you keep this fire going, you kind of go out and you just kind of kill enemies, and you just kind of keep going further and further on the map each time. And to me, it just seems really, really ridiculous in a lot of aspects, because it's like each time you go out, since resources don't respawn, so every time you go out, if you collect something, you're going to have to go further out the next time. Well, the storms come back at a certain time every single time, and eventually it's going to get to the point where you go you're going to run out of resources in a radius to where it doesn't matter what you do. You're going to have to go so far out, you're not going to be able to get back to camp in time, and you're going to die. And it uses a permadeath feature, so when your character dies, he's gone.
I'm okay with permadeath in games. I think as second as it is, I would like a permadeath feature in something like a big game like a Fallout or Skyrim. Elder Scrolls is what I was trying to think up. It's Elder Scrolls and Fallout. Although those are big games where it'd be such a pain in the ass, I'd love to have to go through the character creation process multiple times to try to beat the game. I think that'd be very amusing.
I'm not against permadeath, but I'm against permadeath where the game makes you die and it's not your fault. Um, having to restart because the game says you're dead and not because you fucked up. That's the kind I don't like those permadeaths because
That's
again,
fair.
this game, whenever you restart a new character, it's like restarting the world over. I don't like the fact that you literally get to a point in the game where the game just kills you because you literally are going to get to a point where you have to go so far out to get the stuff you're not going to be able to make it back in time. You're going to die and lose that character. That's not because of me. That's because of the game. And if you let the fire go out, you freeze to death. So you have to go out and get the resources. There's nothing you can do. And not only that, but it's also a Dark Souls style combat. So again, you get kind of what I'm getting at here. The death eventually isn't your fault, and I don't like that in permadeath. If I die, I want it to be because I made a mistake. I didn't do something properly. I fucked up. I don't want it to be because the game says, smite the heathen.
You don't want Thor to come down and just shoot lightning at you and kill you.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't.
Well, I'll have you know, if I were to play a game like that, I am so brilliant. I don't make mistakes in games. I mean to do everything I do, whether it be running the two trees, going back and forth, or what have you. Clearly, I meant to do that. It's not a mistake. So I don't deserve to die either way.
One of my biggest problems that I have in gaming, and it sounds kind of stupid,
Okay.
is map memorization. I get lost so easily on maps exploring, and it's like I'll go through an area 4 or 5 times, and I'll still get lost. Like when I was playing the new Star Wars game, I got lost so many times on planets that I had explored and been through probably a good 8 to 10 times, and I still got fucking lost. And it's just I'll be going and I'm like, okay, if I take this way, this way, this way, and this way, I can get back to here. Nope, I'll pop out somewhere completely different. It's like, what the fuck? And so then I'm like, okay, I'll backtrack some and I'll take a different path, and I'll eventually end up where I'm going after I go the complete not way that was in my head at all ever.
Yeah, I can definitely get that. I'm also forgetful in gaming. So, Alright, I want to ask your opinion on this. I don't know if we've talked about it. We might have or not. Have we talked about what I want to do in my first stream?
No, I don't believe so.
Alright, so, for the past 2 years, because I put a lot of thought into what happens when I start streaming. For the first day, and nobody's for this that I talk to, whether it be anyone I've talked about this with, says it's a bad idea, that I will regret this idea. So I've changed it a little bit. But the original idea was I wanted the first stream as a celebratory thing to be 24 hours. So I'd just go for 24 hours. It's this big celebratory stream. Now, this year, a few months ago, I did move on this. Because I definitely... I'm willing to see the logic flaws. And, okay, what about the next day? Are you going to stream 24 hours later? No, you're not. So, I can see the logistical problem there. And I think you'd agree that 24 hours is a bit excessive.
Ironically, I'm all for 24-hour streams. I've actually been a part of 2.
But where I am right now, and people still don't approve of this, but I think I'm a reasonable person, wink wink. So I've moved it from 24 to, I want to start at, for you it'd be 1, but for me it'd be 12 p.m. And I want to go from 12 and go 12 hours. That's what I want to do. I
for your
think that's
first one?
reasonable. It doesn't mess up your sleep schedule, because even if I ended the stream a few hours early, I probably would just be going to bed, or not yet in bed at that time. Probably not going to bed yet. 'Cause I don't plan on waking up till like 10, 11. So, I'll be staying up till like 2, maybe. We'll see. And I think 12 hours, cause my thing, I want to see what happens when you go deep. And the only way to truly know, like everyone says, it's a bad idea, I'm gonna regret it. But even if I do, I have a 12-hour stream planned at this point. Like, not what I'd play, but how I would do it, and how I would not. I would most efficiently use that 12-hour time to be the most effective for keeping myself in the mood. I have all that planned. Not individual games, but I think I could do it. And I really want to do it. I've wanted to do a big celebratory stream for years now. And I'm right there at it. January 1st. As long as nothing goes wrong between now and then, January 1st will be the first stream. Outside of the podcast stream will come sooner, ideally. But,
So, something that I am curious about, while you're streaming, are you going to be like talking in Discord any at all, like while you stream, or are you going to be entirely interacting with the people? Because like I was going to say, like for some of those streams, like while you're streaming or whatever, just like while you're playing the games, like you can hop in a chat, because like I plan on watching you, and like you could kind of talk about the game or whatever while you're playing it if you're in like up for that, but I don't know if you are or not.
I don't know about that. I think there is wiggle room. I think I could. I don't think while I'm playing, like, do I want to give away a game that I'm thinking about starting January 1st? I think I'm okay with that. This isn't 100% yet, but I'm thinking of playing, like, cause I want to separate it into multiple categories. Like, assuming I stream from 12 to 12. That 12 hours. It isn't going to be one game. It isn't going to be 2 or 3 games. My plan is to play at least 5 games. Maybe 6. Which is also something else I don't really see. People generally play 1 or 2 games across their whole stream. But, I want to keep it fresh, keep it moving, keep it interesting, keep it going, And it's going to be in categories. I'm going to have Steam games, or PC games, you may as well say, but it'll be primarily Steam games. Retro games, which will be old stuff. Xbox 360 games. PS4 games. And I haven't really thought about this as a category, but you might as well say multiplayer as the 5th category. And I want to have those 5 things be different themes for the podcast. Not specifically like in the title, like, oh, this is Retro Day, Just a mix, like, okay. That way, and I don't want to play like the same kind of game, like, okay, I played a 3D platformer to begin the stream. I don't want to play a 3D platformer the rest of the stream. I want 3D platforming is done for that day. I want to play a variety of things. And not every day will be 5 to 6. I don't plan on streaming 12 hours a day every day. That's not realistic. But I definitely want to push myself on the day 1 just to see how that feeling is, see how that goes. Put myself in that big place, see how it goes. But, and so, like, if I'm playing for the PS4, I'm considering playing The Last of Us Remastered on day 1. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I haven't figured out specific games, because as I said, I want to keep it like, okay, I'm playing this kind of action-adventure game here, so I don't want to play it here or there, and I haven't figured that out yet. I haven't put that much thought into it quite yet for individual games. But, like, if I'm playing, like, The Last of Us Remastered as an example, while I'm playing that, do I want someone there chatting with me? I don't really think I can see that. I don't think that's a super realistic thing. Multiplayer wise, I can see like for a multiplayer game that being a good thing, or even like during the breaks. Cause I plan on having breaks in between there to chat with people. Uh, the day one stream is gonna switch around a lot. It'll be in just chatting for multiple times. It'll be in various games throughout the course. And is that a good or bad idea? I don't know. I don't see anyone doing that really. Not in the way I'm imagining it. I have not personally watched someone do it the way I'm thinking about doing it. And maybe that's for a reason. I will see. But I wanna play around with it and see how that goes.
See, the main thing about streaming, and this is something that I think you might already know, but if you don't, you'll find it very quick. Streamers don't really get to play the games they want to play and enjoy it. It's really, you cater to the people watching you a lot, because people want to see what they want to see. And
absolutely.
So like, if you're not streaming a game that they want to see, they're going to leave. And then I know you've told me before you want to stream a lot of older games. Well, there's not really an audience for that, unfortunately, unless you already have the audience going.
Well, this is my thing. Early on, you have room to experiment. And what I will never do, I'm not going to be, okay, I've budged on things before, like, if you went back to 2016, Wes, I would never have streamed on Twitch. I was not for Twitch at the time. But I'm not gonna be that streamer that just plays multiplayer games every fucking day. That's not me. That's not what I'm gonna do. I don't want to do that. That's not me. But I do want to play a variety of games. I want to play a lot of different games. And as you're building your audience, you have more wiggle room than you do when you have the audience. So I'm going to use that time to play a lot of the games I want to play.
It's understandable. Have you actually thought of a backup plan in case streaming doesn't actually work?
It's going to work.
Well,
if it doesn't work, I'm fucked. That's just reality. I've put years. If it doesn't work, if my streaming doesn't work, and I wasted from 2016 to 2020, I don't know what the next step is. It can't fail. That's just the bottom line. I won't let it fail. And whether that means changing the plan a lot, I think I have the personality and the energy to do it. I think I could do it. I know I can do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna nail it. Maybe year one isn't the best year, but I think I can do it.
Well, I'll definitely be along for the journey to watch it go. Because I'm not going nowhere unless you just tell me to. Unless you're just like, hey, up one day, you're just like, nah, you're out of here. It's like, okay, well, until that day comes, I ain't going nowhere. So I'll experience this journey with you, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about this for years. Like, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? But I can't fail. That's the thing. I just can't, so I won't. Because if it does, what am I gonna do? I've never had a job. I don't drive. I'm not gonna drive. That's not something I'm moving on. I've waited for years on this move so I could get internet, so I could do what I'm passionate about and make it work. And if it fails and I have to find something else, I don't know how that works. I don't think I can mentally handle an actual job. School crushed me in a way that I don't hear talked about. Like, people have it rough in high school. I mentally fucking broke in high school. Especially senior year, which is supposed to be the easiest year. I fucking broke. So It's gotta work. I will make it work. That's my mindset. I have to stick positive to it. It's why I've been hopeful since the beginning of the year that we'd be moved by the end of the year. And then that's still my viewpoint now. Like, even if we don't get moved this week, as long as it's by the end of the year, we can get internet by the end of the year. That's been the goal. That's been the goal all year. And I've been doing my research, and I understand, like, not every game has an audience. But it'll be interesting. I imagine my game plan now, compared to after a month of streaming, will be completely different. That's obvious. That's what's going to happen. My game plan now and what will actually happen February is going to be completely different. Maybe some things stay the same, but yeah, I expect it to be a lot different once I actually do it, see what happens, observe what happened, and give it some thinking.
Well, I mean...
And you can absolutely see that I've put myself in a bad situation by doing all this.
I wouldn't say you put yourself in a bad situation. I do think that it might be poorly prepped. A bad situation, no.
And I feel like, you know, when I was in high school, what I wanted to do was be a Let's Player. That's what I wanted to be. And then I did Let's Playing, and it was going well. It was legitimately going well. My channel was growing. I was getting more views, more likes. And then, because I was a moderator on YouTubers, you had a group that gave me a ton, like dozens, of dislikes, 2-second watch time views, and I watched that Let's Play channel die. The momentum went away. I watched it happen. And it was... And I never recovered on YouTube after that. It never happened. I was almost at 500 subs after not even a year. So, I mean, I was going good. But, it got killed. And I have experience from that. I've tried out a lot of ideas since then. I did reviewing, I did different talk show ideas, and I did exercise video as more of a funny thing. I tried out a lot of stuff, and there's stuff to learn from everything. I've watched thousands of hours of content. I've seen a lot of streams. I can't really watch many streams on the phone on 4G. It just buffers too much to be enjoyable. But, in my head, I can't wait to see how it goes. I can't wait. And for the record, like, I plan on streaming for 12 hours. I expect a lot of that time to have 0 viewers. Like, I'm not delusional. I don't think, I'm going to stream on day one, I'm going to have a ton of viewers. I absolutely think a lot of that day is going to be 0 viewers, but I think that's important. You have to, like, my Let's Playing experience is why I feel more comfortable with having 0 viewers. And the fact that I think you'll even say, whether it's via text or when I'm playing, like, a game on my phone and talking in a voice chat, I talk too much about it.
Wait, talk too much about what?
Like, if I'm playing Mario Kart, I'll talk about what's going on in Mario Kart, whether it be by text or by voice. Like on my Discord, I'll talk about Mario Kart a lot when I play it. I just like talking about it when I'm playing it. And I think that's another benefit I have, especially from the Let's Playing days. I don't think my problem was ever not talking. I'm good at filling the air. Even if it's with nonsense, I'm good at filling the air. And when in doubt, I have things to pull out of the hat that people found hilarious on the original Let's Play channel, and will show up again when I stream. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I can't wait to January 1st. It'll be a good day. An exhausting day, probably. That's what everyone tells me. It'll be exhausting, but I think it'll be a fun day.
Well, streaming definitely takes a lot of energy out of you. It really does. I partially know this from experiences. I've done streams, and I partially know this just because I have friends who stream, and they're usually, honestly, they're not really tired after the stream per se. They just need like a break. It's like you feel exhausted after, and you just kind of.
It's not physical exhaustion; it's mental exhaustion.
Yeah, and you just kind of need to sit back and just kind of chill. That's like every night this past week. Since Monday actually, I have maybe Tuesday. I don't know. No, let's see. Sunday, Saturday. I don't remember what day it was I started, but every day since that day, I've streamed almost 3 to 4 hours every single night, streaming the new Star Wars game. And it's just mentally fucked me afterwards. Like when I'm done, I set the controller down and I'm just like, oh, damn, done. That like fatigue only lasts usually for about like 30 to 40 minutes, and then I'm good. But you still feel it nonetheless. You still feel it.
And I feel like I have planned precautions. I don't know if it'll work. I can't wait. I keep saying it, but I just can't wait to see how my vision goes. Like, on paper, my plan sounds good. But in reality, what's on paper isn't always how it goes. And I can't wait to figure out what to change. That first month is going to be super exciting for me because I enjoy planning stuff. I've put a lot of thought into things, like when it comes to streaming. But, having to change your game plan when something don't work is also it's a very interesting experience. And I feel like at the end of the day, if you're entertaining enough, no matter what you play, if you're entertaining enough, people will watch.
I disagree with that. I hate to say it, but I disagree with that. Because there are people out there who I've watched who could be some of the most entertaining people in the world, and yet no one will watch them because of what they're playing. Like, it's just kind of how it is. Like, for instance, let's look at Summit. Summit himself he's hilarious to watch because of what he does and shit like that. But there is just games that he'll like load up and play, like when he does those GTA 5 RPs and other things, and I can't even watch him. I just cut it off because I just don't care anything about the game. Your personality will get your personality. Yes, people will watch you for it, but man, realistically speaking, unless you're just really playing a game that they want to see, it don't matter how entertaining you are. They're just going to kind of not want to watch it.
And that's absolutely fair. I don't watch every game from when I watched LPS. I didn't watch every game, even though I found them very entertaining. But if I were to watch them, and that's the problem, you see a game you don't necessarily like, or you don't really know about. Well, it's more you already know it and don't like it or find it boring. And you don't give it a chance, so you won't really watch. But if you just go back and play it on a playlist and you eventually get to it unknowing, you may enjoy it. I can see both sides of this discussion.
Yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong. It's like with Brax. I've tried to get him multiple times. I've actually even tried to get him to stream games that he enjoys playing, because he's told me before that he doesn't enjoy playing the games that he streams. And I've told him before, hey, you should play what makes you happy. And he's just like, I can't. No one will come watch me. And it's like, I mean, the reality of that hits hard. It's like, you can't, streaming is just, I don't know. The reality of that sets in just really hard, because you really realize that you really, honestly, even though you're streaming, you still can't do what you want to do. I mean, like, for instance, like, if I was to play, like, we recorded a video on Fortnite one time. Well, that video on Fortnite had people wanting us to make more. And they even asked us, like, hey, you going to make more Fortnite videos? And it's like, well, no. And they're just like, well, then we're not going to watch you. And it's like, well, that's unfortunate, I guess. And we lost subs off of it. And
yeah, I think there's a balance there. Like, if you see that happen, and if it's an audience you want to cater to, which is also why I want to be very careful when doing multiplayer stuff. I don't want to fall into that hole. I don't want to be a multiplayer streamer only. That's not me. I don't want to be that guy. Is that what's most popular a lot of the times, it seems? Yeah, it does. And that's fine. I'm not looking to be number one. When I was a Let's Player on YouTube, I was looking to be number one because that was a viable thing. But I don't want it to consume it. I think there's a fine balance you can do. And I think that's also part of the mental health aspect of it. As long as you provide a healthy balance for yourself and the viewers, maybe they don't show up for a game you want to play. Maybe not. But you should still play it. But you have to play what people want to see as well. You should do both. Now, does that always realistically work? No. People may not have the time. People always bitch, but you can't let people bitching be what dictates your life.
it's true.
I can't wait to see how much my attitude changes in a few months, though.
Yeah. If you really wanted to succeed the way you really wanted to, I feel like you're going to have to give. I know you're a stubborn person, but I feel like things are going to have to change for it to work out the way you're wanting it to. Just because, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying it will, but just based off of what from other streamers that I've talked to, because a lot of them that I've talked to, I either met them or was friends with them when they first started, and they didn't have a exact same mindset, but a similar one. And either they ended up quitting just because they refused to change and it didn't work, or they ended up changing and their mindset's just different now. So I am curious to see if you'll still hold true to what you're saying now. I mean, that is definitely something that I'm interested in seeing.
Oh, that's the long-term thing about me, and like the Golden Bolt will tell you all about it. I would be super fucking stubborn at the time, but the reality is, I don't have many super hard stances in life. And like, you go back to 2016, I would have told you I never would stream on Twitch. Twitch sucks. Why would you want to stream on Twitch? That was my mindset at the time. And obviously, that has completely flipped now. I don't really have hard positions on things, but I will absolutely stand by an opinion until I've decided otherwise. Cause I am a stubborn person, but I'm not ignorantly stubborn past the breaking point. For me, I have to see it for myself. Like, okay, maybe I can show a pattern of, okay, this kind of game works, but this kind of game doesn't work. Maybe there's not an audience for what I want to do. Because after all, as I said, I don't really see people doing it the exact way I want to do it. But does that mean you just go with the standard at first? Now, you gotta try and do it your vision. You gotta do your vision first. And then adjust it over time. to the more realistic approach of how you need to do things to optimize your success. And so I say I won't be a multiplayer streamer, but who knows? Who knows what the future holds? That's not the game plan now, but who knows? I could see myself splitting it into like a 50-50 type thing. I could realistically see that. But, you know. Feels like I'm just going in a circle now, but. And I've said it like 8 times already, but I just can't wait. It's going to be fascinating.
I can't wait either, honestly. I'm obviously not as excited as you are, but I'm excited to see you get to grow them. Finally get to at least try what you're happy about.
Yeah. And as I said, I expect for the majority of the stream to have 0 viewers. I would be disappointed if it stayed at 0 the whole time, but, you know.
Well, it ain't going to stay at 0 because, like I said, I'm going to be watching some of it. I ain't going to be able to watch all of it, but I'll watch some of it here.
Wait, I just realized a problem. Hold on. What is January 1st? Okay, that's not a problem then.
That's New Year's, I think.
It is. I don't care about that.
Oh, actually, that could be a real big problem. I don't know if I'll be able to watch any or not that day at all.
Yeah, that's true. But I still want to stream on January 1st. But what I was concerned with was what day of the week was that. And if that was a Thursday, I was about to be like, motherfucker. But it's not. It's a Wednesday. Which means I can talk about how the stream went when we record the podcast the next day.
Yeah.
And obviously I won't do that for every stream. But, you know.
Are you planning on streaming on Fridays, too?
On Fridays, too. Why would I not stream on Fridays? I don't know what days I'm going to end up streaming permanently, but right now I kind of just want to go every day, and not for 12 hours every day. That'd be absurd. But for the first month, I just want to play around with it, and maybe I go for a week and I'm like, oh, this is too much. And then I cut it back to 6 days, 5 days, whatever. The lowest I'd go is 3 days. Because I've seen viable things where streamers can grow just going 3 days, but I want to play around with it. I'll probably start every day until I realize it's too taxing.
Well, I mean,
why were you asking?
I didn't know if you had like a schedule set or not, like what days you was planning on streaming or what you had go. I honestly, it was more so just curiosity, if anything. Like I was wondering if just what kind of schedule you was actually planning on doing, and if you was planning on going on the weekends too, or if it was like a Monday through Thursday thing, or obviously not Thursday, but like a Monday through like Sunday through Wednesday, Saturday
I'll still
through
stream
Wednesday,
on Thursdays. I don't know what. I don't have a set time or set days I want to stream. I've thought about it. I've put a lot of analytics into it. I've looked at work, like, okay, you can go like Twitch Strike or whatever, and you look up, okay, how are these games doing on an hourly and daily basis? And you can compile that data up, and I've done that before. I've poured many hours into compiling data of like 300 games, just out of curiosity. And that's another thing, because I've looked up literally 300 games that are way different from each other. Every game can get viewers.
Yeah, it can, definitely.
There's no such... Okay. That wouldn't be true what I was about to say. I was going to say there's no such thing as a simply dead game that's going to get 0 all the time. I'm sure that exists. I'm sure there are good examples of that. Yeah, there's absolutely going to be some of those. But I don't plan on streaming anything like that nobody's heard of, that nobody would ever watch, because who the fuck cares about this game? Maybe on Steam. Maybe some Steam games may fall into that category, as I beat Bill up when we discussed that bet. But, you know. My goal remains the same, regardless of if we actually go through with the bet. I want to beat 200 games in 2020.
Jesus.
Exactly. And will that happen? We'll see. a lot of variables in that. Well, I think it's 3 a.m. for me right now. So we should probably officially wrap up the podcast recording. So,
That's yeah, I feel you.
hopefully everyone has enjoyed this smaller edition of the BS podcast. I'm absolutely condensing this the fuck down. I know at least an hour of what we have talked about will be edited out for sure. But hopefully everyone has enjoyed this episode of the BS podcast. If you did, you definitely want to press on the link in the description. Regardless of where you listen to, it's now in the description. You want to join the Discord server. You can chat with both of us. We're generally around.
Try to be anyway.
I'll talk to you. If you have any thoughts on the podcast that you want to let me know, if there's any issues you may have, let me know. Any feedback is very helpful for me. That's always my worry. I try and get the audio good, but I don't really hear feedback on it, but we get downloads every week, so I must not be doing it too terrible. Hopefully everyone shows up for the premiere of the Friday episodes. Hopefully you enjoy. Until then, hopefully you have a good Wednesday and Thursday. And I guess that's it for me. Do you have any closing words?
We love you guys. Thank you for the support, and we'll see you guys when we see you guys.
Except you, Billub. Fuck you, Billub.
Fuck you, Billub.